I get letters. You wouldn't believe the amount of letters I get daily. Unbelievable letters. So many of them are fragments of people's minds that after you see hundreds and hundreds of letters, you begin to build a concept about where the average mind is at with regard to understanding reality. And I got to tell you that I see a lot of mental disease out there. And I think it's endemic in the human condition that we actually, in this world, we don't understand and we don't see clearly. And it's kind of like this windshield on a rainy day. Constantly have to wipe the windshield from the rain, and there's wind out here, and we're getting leaves and debris in the air, and then we have problems with the window frosting up. We have to put the defroster on. It's kind of metaphoric of the way people look into the world and try to understand all kinds of things. And so when I get these letters, they're just little pieces of fragments of people's minds that have gone off into all kinds of spiritual infinity, trying to make sense out of our existence. And so when we deal with helping people hook up to the Soundtron or with the Holy Spirit or just the energy of God, we have to begin with the concept of grounding. We need to be grounded so that we can differentiate between what is figments of our imagination, faulty logic, disinformation that we hear on the media. We have to have something whereby we can judge our thoughts and ideas and images, because if you think about it, a good illustration of what I'm saying is in that show American Idol, when you see people coming on at the beginning segments or the first shows that they do, you see people actually believing they have talent. And they would even argue with the judges who are tuned to what real talent is in the musical industry, and arguing with them when the judges say, I'm sorry, you just don't have it to make it to be American Idol. And these people so often just get into arguments, cuss out the judges, and it's just amazing how delusional people are. And I believe it's endemic in the human race, and we have to deal with that issue if we expect to move on towards really having spiritual energy, spiritual light. Because we do, as Jesus even said, we do see through a glass darkly. Okay. So how can we, as we look through a glass darkly, ever judge another human being? I mean, humans are so complicated, they're so complex, different mind sequencing, different circumstances of life, different genetics, different levels of intelligence. How can we who look through a glass darkly ever render a judgment against another human being when we're so subjective? So do you like my glasses? I look pretty cool, don't I? Well, I'm not really cool. I'm just like anybody else, and I have the same problems and the same circumstances to deal with on this planet, because I see through a glass darkly too. And we have to come to grips with this issue, because all of us have certain mental blocks and gaps, and they're enormous in some people, and some people they're not as bad, but we all still have those logic gaps. And we have to overcome that. And we can't overcome it unless we get some fundamental things built into us that help us see clearly. And I call what we're about to do grounding. We must be grounded. And so that's what these sessions are all about. Well, it's not like it used to be. When I was a kid, I used to play a lot of golf, but the whole body's not what it used to be. I once came out here in weather that wasn't a lot different than this. Can you imagine playing golf in this kind of weather? It's not a good idea to play golf in this kind of weather, because there's a lot of electricity in the air, and when you have a golf club in your hand, it becomes a lightning rod, and lightning can hit it, and it can kill you. I remember Lee Trevino, one of my old favorite golfers, got hit by a bolt of lightning when he was playing a round of golf, and it almost killed him. He survived it, but it almost killed him. And that's how spiritual energy is. If you don't handle it right, and you navigate out there. I did that when I was a kid and got myself in a lot of trouble and got some mental disease by dealing with spiritual reality and spiritual items out there and spiritual themes and spiritual concepts. It creates a lot of mental disease. And there's a lot of people out there playing around with spirituality, and it's hurting them. And so we want to talk to you about the dangers of spirituality and why it's so important to really be hooked up with the right grounding. That would have been a good shot. Well, the power you can hear and the water you can see shooting out of this dam is on the Mackenzie River about 20 miles up from my house. And this is one of thousands of dams that were built to capture electricity. And the way they were able to do it was they figured out that the electrons that are stimulated by the energy created by water would be grounded. The energy, excess energy, would be shot into the ground so that electricity could be harnessed and used for all the things that we enjoy today. But there's an energy from God called amtricity, and that's channeled to us through the Soundtron and the Holy Spirit. But if we're not grounded properly and we try to tune in to spiritual energy, well, it's like the fragments of lightning bolts that you see when energy is not harnessed, and it's damaging and it's dangerous. And so our job is to root you and ground you in love, because love is the ground that allows us to understand the purposes of knowledge, which should resolve to love, because love is God and God is love. And that's what this is all about, teaching you how to tune into God and receive the torrents and rivers of water, energies, waters from above, that come to us in limitless waves. But unless we're grounded, we can't handle it. The problem with understanding love is we don't know what it sounds like or what it looks like. A lot of people think love is physical, like sexual love. Others think it's romantic, which is emotional love. But the love of God is a sacrificing love. It's a serving love, like the way a soldier would lay down his life for his country. So what we need to do is we need to increase our capacity for God's love, which we call amtricity, love that flows, pure energy, pure love that flows from the very throne of God in the heaven of heavens. Think of yourself as a cup that can't hold much of that river, and think of that river as God's love. What we need to do is increase our capacity. And so we're trying to connect you to that river that flows, that has no limits, and connect you to it in such a way that your capacity grows for the love of God.